Hey, folks. Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm Brian Call. Today, I'm going to talk about my gear, my backpacking gear, my backpacking setup when I'm trying to go ultra light. I just got back from a grizzly bear hunt in Alaska. I went up there with my buddy Anthony. We've been friends since high school. We had an incredible hunt, kind of the hunt that dreams are made of. And I can't wait to share the film with you. It was kind of, when you think grizzly hunt, it had all the parts and pieces to it. It was a pretty epic adventure. I was up there with Alaska Adventure Services, outfitter guide Eric Lee. And Eric does a lot of sheep hunting. And his gear, his backpacking setup is super light. So he and I got into comparing notes. And one of the things about this particular hunt was I knew as a grizzly bear hunt, we weren't going to be hiking very far. At least we weren't supposed to be. And so I packed pretty heavy. And before I went on the hunt, I did a gear dump and kind of broke it down. I was bringing a lot of goodies, a lot of comforts. And, it got me thinking though, what could I just ditch? Like, what could I ditch and live without if I had to go as light and minimalist as possible in a way that suits me? What am I willing to go? How far am I willing to go? Because Lampers and I, we do like our comforts. Well, I got my kit down to a new level. I'm going to go over that today, and I'm going to try to break it down in a way where you can see, like, this pack right now weighs 32 pounds, and that's everything minus food and the bino harness. When I add the bino harness in there, it puts me right around 35 pounds. So the bino harness, binoculars, the rangefinder, all that kind of stuff, all added to this kit, all together carrying on my body, it's 35 pounds. The only thing left is food. The only thing. Everything else is in here. My rain gear, my mid layers, basically everything is in this bag at 35 pounds. So if you take 35 pounds and you add 17 pounds, which was my 10 days worth of food, you're at 52 pounds. Okay. So for a 10-day hunt, 52 pounds, this includes that 52 pounds includes my 10 days of food, all the gear I need. And also it includes, my spotter and tripod. Cause I feel like every hunter, most of us need a setup like that. And for me, for filming, I have to have it, or I can't capture the animals in the wild. And I've been carting around a giant lens. As much as I hate downgrading the quality of my footage, there are some hunts that are just straight up, straight down, tons of miles, where it does make a lot of sense. If I'm solo or if I'm with just myself and like a Lampers, instead of 3 guys, if there's 3 or more guys on the trip, we'll split the load of the camera gear. We'll take turns carrying different parts of that kit. But I basically save 8 pounds by going with the spotter instead of the camera lens, the big heavy camera. And the quality of the footage is arguably at times splitting hairs, especially if the animal's further away. The spotter actually does better. So, like I said, you're 52 pounds. That's probably one of the lightest loads Gritty has ever attempted for a 10-day trip. And then every day I'm out there, I'm eating, a pound and a half. I'm dropping my load. And like I said, my base load is basically 35 pounds. And that includes spotter. That includes spotting scope. Includes my bino harness rig and my rangefinder. So the only thing that is not included in that 35 pound base weight is my weapon. And if I'm looking at becoming an assistant guide in Alaska, I probably will over the next couple of years or so. I have enough hours. I could qualify, I could do that. And I think I would enjoy it. And if so, I'm bringing this Evader Concepts chest rig, and I'm bringing a 10 millimeter pistol. I may not bring my Kimber. This is the Kimber Camp Guard. I might opt for a little bit lighter weight handgun. That said, I was playing around with the handgun that the other guys brought, that Eric brought and Ryan Anthony brought. And honestly, their gun didn't weigh a whole lot less than mine. I mean, it was a little bit. So, and I shoot this really well. I love this gun. It's an excellent firearm. So, don't know if I would, but what I'm saying is you could shed some weight here, as well as the rifle. So I have a Weatherby rifle in the form of a the backcountry 307, and with the lightweight spotting scope or scope on it and all that, it's 6.5 pounds. So keep that in mind. You have your handgun on your rig. If you're like as a guide or outfitter, probably on a sheep hunt, I probably wouldn't bring my own rifle. I just bring the handgun, and then the hunter would have his rifle. The thing though is if I am the hunter, if I'm not in grizzly bear hunting, I'm not bringing a handgun. I probably won't opt for that, or I'll bring my little SIG P365, like a little 9mm or something for black bear or mountain lions or something, like just a little extra safety, which is tiny, lightweight, compact. I might bring that, but for grizzly bear country, I'm going with a handgun. I'm just going with a handgun that's on my chest at all times. Now, rifle, if you do like the Weatherby option, and I'll go over that in some future podcasts. The rifles, I got like 5 Weatherby rifles, all in the lightweight categories. They range from 6.5 pounds full, the whole rifle, up to about 9 pounds, 8.5, and kind of go over the pros and cons. But a 6.5 rifle on top of this, you're at 58 pounds or so, 58.5 pounds for a 10-day backcountry hunt. It's pretty legit. But we're going to go over, we're putting the weapons aside. Weapons aside, you're looking at, with food and bino harness and the whole kit and caboodle, you're looking at a 52-pound load. With food being depleted each day, getting you down to a 35-pound base weight without food. So let's go over what's in this pack, okay? One of the luxuries I thought I would keep is the Stealthy Hunter glassing pad, which is now been brought into Peaks. So Stealthy partnered up with Peaks Equipment, and now you can pick up all the Stealthy products at Peaks Equipment. So head on over there if you're interested in a glassing pad, if you're interested in a rifle cover. They're legit. Ryan has partnered up with Peaks, and now you can get this stuff over there. It's a good partnership too. I think they made some revamps to the design, but head on over to Peaks Equipment and check it out. Also, for you guys that are watching this podcast and are interested in gritty films, we actually have a film that we produced that's behind a paywall, and that film will be available to everyone coming this fall, like right around Halloween, November, December, up through the Hunt Expo. I have some badass films that I'm dropping. But if you want to see a movie now, and you want to be part of our Gritty Hideout, which is our private community, you can head on over to staygritty.com, click the Hideout button, and you can find our community there. Join. There's a monthly. You join up, it's $10 a month, or you can join up for $100 a year. If you join up for the $100 a year, you get everything. And we do live streams. We're trying to do them every week, and we do giveaways on every stream. And right now, if you go and sign up, the first 50 people that sign up are going to get a Revenge snack pack. That's pretty cool. It's like a $35 value. And also, you can win, if you're an annual supporter over there of the Gritty Hideout, an annual member, you can win a brand new Prime form. That's the bow with all the doodads. You get the bow, the quiver, the sight, arrows, the whole kit. So it's a small group of people right now. We've had this thing around for a while, and we've been hit and miss. We've served the community well at times, and we've fallen off the wagon. And my goal right now is to really, really invest in that space. It's kind of like the place I really want to spend time putting personal and private content, and the early release of films will be there, as well as early release of certain podcasts and then a whole bunch of exclusive podcasts are going to be over there. So head on over to staygritty.com or briancall.com, click the Hideout button. It'll take you give you all the details there. But we have a brand new movie out there right now called Of Bears and Men. And it's an early release, an early cut of the film. The feedback has been exceptional. People have been really impressed with it. I have 2 more productions that I'm going to release over the next couple of months over there. So head on over and become a supporter and watch the movie, even just for $10. You don't like it, skip out next month. But man, I would love your support if you're over there as an annual supporter. And I'd love to get you on the streams every week and hang out with us, ask your questions. We're going to have certain guests on. It's going to be fun. So anyway, thank you for supporting Gritty all the time. Let's go into the pack. This is an initial ascent, 8K, which I think is the ideal size. I've talked about that before. Okay, let's talk about the tripod here on the side. This is the Tricer BC with the LP head. This system right here is 2 pounds, less than 2 pounds, somewhere right in there. So, I mean, gosh, pretty hard to beat. As a way of shedding weight, I went ahead and went with a standard type Nalgene bottle, which I hate to do. But if I am going for lightweight, I'm not going to bring the GSI Microlight, which is this one here. Which if we had freezing temps and your water would freeze, or if I had, or if I just had to have cold water, wanted that luxury, I could do it. But I'm not saving a ton of weight, but I'm here today to go for ounces. Like, we're saving, like, we don't care if it's a ton of weight, any weight, we're trying to get rid of it. So lightweight bottle right there. Binder rig, blah, blah, blah. Went over that. Okay. And I'm going to start with what's in the lid here and pull the lid off. By the way, I freaking love the lid on the initial ascent. It is just accessible, handy. I can turn it into a backpack over my shoulders. It has room for putting a bladder in here. You can run it through the hose right here if you wanted to. You could put it on your hip if you put a little buckle on it. There's lots of ways to leverage it, but I like to pull that thing off, toss it right by my pillow when I climb into my shelter, and then have everything I need inside. Okay, so in here, going through this quick. Okay, guys, just going to go through it quick. I got these Filson Merino gloves, which I love. Who makes another nice one is Black Ovis. I like their glove, but the Filson is tough to beat. I don't like them tight. I like them real loose. Filson I've always loved their wool gloves. They're like fully wool. I got a Peaks beanie right here. And then right here, I have the Flextail air pump. I could have got rid of it, but man, this thing is used to start a fire. It'll blow a fire, get a fire going real quick, which we did cook grub right over an open flame. It was nice to have the Flextail. We could really get the fire cranking hot quick. It also has a light, and it hangs in your tent as a lamp if you needed to. It's fully rechargeable on the hunt. And Anthony and I were both like, every time we had to pack up and go, it's so nice not to have to blow up your air pad. You just stick it on, turn it on, and you're done. So this is a luxury item I decided to keep in the kit. Eric Lee might be a little disappointed in me, but that's too bad. Here I have a head net for mosquitoes and bugs and all that. That's always in a little pouch in here. I never go into the mountains without a head net for mosquitoes and bugs. I have in here my Peaks headlamp. In Alaska, it never got dark except for 2 or 3 hours. I would take one headlamp, not two. You can get a lightweight like backup headlamp, but today when I have the Flextail and I have my iPhone, I don't need a backup headlamp. I got those 2 lights if I had to. If I lost this somehow, I could get by. And so one headlamp. I've got my InReach, Garmin InReach, the Mini. I have a Peaks spoon, and I have a little goat knife or any kind of replaceable blade knife with replaceable blades for skinning and gutting. And I have this, the ultralight water purifier, SteriPen. I've had this for 5 years, I think now. Everybody, Eric and Anthony were using this constantly. This thing has never failed me. Sometimes it gets a little cold. I warm it up. I will say that other people, I've had friends who've had theirs fail on them, and I've had people buy brand new ones and have problems. So I love this thing. It hasn't failed me. When you get a good one, you got a good one. But I would say that it's worth running some for a while. Make sure you get a good one, because I think they have quality control problems. Maybe they fix some of those, but that's been my experience. Okay. In here, I'm going to get to that in a minute. This is a Z-Packs pillow, basically, which is just a Dyneema bag with a felt inside right here. And I can stuff my puffy jacket in here or something else and then just lay on it. And this also acts as a stuff sack. If I just want to put stuff in here, keep things organized, I could put my puffy jacket in here. I could put, my gloves in here, whatever. And it's just a little bag so it's dual purpose. It can be my pillow at night, but it can also store gear as well. And it weighs nothing as it's made out of Dyneema. Okay. This is the Initial Ascent pack cover, rain cover. And then I have, this is some S-Bit fire starter, and I also have trioxane tablets as well. And then in here I have a plasma lighter and a Bic lighter. And this is by Pyro Putty. I've had this one for a really long time, but what I like about the plasma lighters is that they just simply are rechargeable. There's no gas to run out, and they handle the wind. They light up in the wind. I've had this one a long time, but it's nice to have just basically an electric lighter to go along with your gas one. And so got that. And then in here I have this is the Hydra Pack Seeker. This one is the Seeker 3 liter, and I usually bring 2 of these. This is an old school one, but just like this brand in general, have been using it for years, and they've held up really well. And then finally, in this top lid, I have this Thermacell. I normally wouldn't bring this, but gosh dang, guys, some hunts, it's worth it. And so they take these little Thermacell cards, or I don't know, repellents. You plug this little tiny sucker into your butane gas that you use on your jet boil or cook stove, and you put one of these cards in, and it'll smoke for 8 hours or whatever. And so when you're in your shelter or just hanging out and glassing or whatever, you just pop that sucker up. It is really nice in mosquito infested areas, which was where we were at hunting in Alaska. When you're on a windy top, no problem. But man, where we killed that bear, we were covered in hordes of mosquitoes. Hordes. They were just coming in by the clouds. And so having this it's just not that heavy. It's a luxury item, I know, but because you could just throw on a head net and some gloves, but I just love having that thing. So again, it's part of this kit. It's a little bit on the heavy side. Hey folks, pardon the interruption, but I've got to tell you about this new Tricer RP bipod for your rifle. This thing is incredible. It's going to take the market by storm. You're going to want one. Everyone will. It's like no other bipod on the market. It's been designed to do everything in one bipod, which is generally not what we have available to us on the market today. Use the code GRIDDY over at Tricer and you will save. Whether you're shooting from a prone or sitting position, this bipod adapts seamlessly to every field environment. You're going to get rock solid stability when it matters most. This bipod includes everything for $2.99. You've got the long legs, the short legs, you got spikes, you got rubber feet, Arca Swiss, Picatinny compatible, plus a swivel stud to Picatinny adapter, giving you unmatched flexibility for any hunting scenario. Bottom line, this is the last bipod you'll ever need. Use the code GRIDDY over at Tricer.com. You'll get a discount and you'll get the last bipod you'll ever need. All right, let's get back to the show. Okay, so then for electric power, this is another big step for me. Only one battery pack, just one. And this is a super lightweight, tiny battery pack. It's, 10,000, whatever. I'm not an electrician. It's equivalent of like a Dark Energy. I love my Dark Energy, which I have right here. It's a little bit bigger The dark energy might squeeze out a little bit more juice, but they're basically, on paper, they're the same. But this one weighs half as much. The night core weighs half as much. So if I'm going to go ultra light, this night core is I don't know, it's half of it. I think 6 ounces. It's half the weight. So that's pretty impressive. So solar panel. This is another area where, so the Speed Goat solar panel by Cruxley is kind of what's on the what's in the pack right now. And let me see here. Let me pull it out and put a few things on here so I can get to it pretty easy. Okay. On the electric, the solar panel, I'm kind of torn on this. I'm not convinced yet, but this is the Cruxley. This says the Speed Goat. This solar panel, you just lay it out. The sun is 25 watts. Okay. And it's very, very lightweight. And Alaskan sun is weird. It kind of comes at an angle. It doesn't go like straight down. And we had a lot of it, but the other solar panel, I have a 3-panel. Let me see if I can find it right here. I saw it. Yeah, right here. This one weighs more, and it's only 21 watts instead of 25. This is the Rhino Tough. Anker made one, Rhino Tough. There's a couple others. I think Rhino Tough might be also discontinued. But this is much lighter. And I could not tell if it performed better than the Rhino Tough. They seemed pretty on par, even though this is supposed to be 25 watts and that's 21. But it is enough. It worked well enough. And so my electrical setup would be this. And I think the whole thing is, with this and this together, is 16 ounces. Like, it's just 1 pound. And I was able to keep my phone, my stereo pin, my InReach, and my headlamp, and all my things fully charged with one battery pack in this solar panel. Unlimited electricity, basically. So that would be kind of the setup for the backcountry power supply and electric situation. I got a pouch here that has cables in it, just all the ones I need to charge my devices. So the other thing I pulled out of my pack was the Jetboil Minimo. I'm still a fan of the Minimo. It's the micro adjust dial that I like. I also like this pot where it's a little open. So if I do cook or boil or have some meat in there, it's just easier, not a tall, skinny, narrow pot. This Jetboil, though, sips gas. I can get away with a 10-day hunt using the little tiny micro gas tank if I wanted to. If I run the Thermacell for mosquitoes, I might bring 2 of those or 1 big one. Certainly the 1 big one is more than I need. Where when I have used other stoves, they've sucked the butane down way faster. So just in the weight savings I think you get, and the performance of the micro adjust dial to really like sip fuel and just efficient, man, I keep coming back to this Jetboil Minimo over and over and over again. It is my go-to backcountry hunting pot. I know there's lighter ones. Eric had a lightweight one, this little guy with this other thing and all this. I'm like, you're not saving that much weight. And he had to burn more fuel. He used more fuel. So that extra canister of fuel ends up sort of making up for the weight savings you got with that lighter rig. So look at the efficiency of the fuel and really test it, because like I said, I've used this for breakfast, dinner, and then some warm drinks in the afternoon or whatever. And I've gotten away on 10 days with just the little smallest fuel tank size. And then you need a mug. This is a cheap plastic GSI mug that I've had for years. I don't like drinking out of plastic, but if I get a titanium one, I mean, and I've had some, and I need to get something like that. But this little guy, it's in the pack. It's part of the load. When it comes to the puffies, I went on this last trip to Alaska in Grizzly country using the Black Ovis puffies. I got to say, I mean, I love my KUIU stuff. The Black Ovis is touch heavier, but the price point, man, it's hard to recommend someone go. You're just wearing a puffy, like, I mean, especially the pants. It's hard to justify an expensive pair of puffy pants because you pretty much are stationary when you put them on, or you're just kind of kicking around camp. And so I have a really hard time going with something that's on the puffy pant side. That's super expensive. But I just wore this. This is the Black Ovis puffy. I think it's a pretty cool. It's just a decent little puffy jacket. About the weight maybe of like the Stones version and stuff. It's pretty lightweight and high quality down, and they did a fine job. So I check out Black Ovis if you're on a budget for sure. I do really like my KUIU stuff, but that's the way to go if you're on a budget. And I also wore the Black Ovis rain gear. And we're talking Alaska. It rained heavy. We had to hike through some wet, nasty country. I feel like rain gear by all the companies sort of wets out after a year or so, especially with how much I use it. Rain gear is almost like an annual purchase for Gritty. 100 days in the field, 150 days, nasty. Rain gear wears out, wets out pretty quick. So it's one of those things I haven't found, like if you spend $500, $600, $700 on some rain gear, that it all of a sudden has some life expectancy and performance that vastly outdoes everyone else. I haven't seen it. So I was like, well, I'll try the Black Ovis. I wore it. It was crazy good. I mean, I'm really impressed with this Black Ovis rain gear. And my thoughts are, with the price point that it comes in at, I mean, if it wears out, I'll just buy another set. It's so much less expensive than your Sitkas and your KUIUs out there. And I don't think it's performing a whole ton better. So that's the Black Ovis rain gear. And also, what I love about Black Ovis is they're my friends. And if you shop over at Black Ovis and use the code GRITTY, you get discounts and you save money, and it helps me too. So all this stuff, if you're going to buy any gear and you want to get a discount, head over to Black Ovis. Those guys are rad. And this gear is pretty solid. You'll see it in the films this next year, and I'll get some more use out of it. But so far, that Black Ovis rain gear looks good too. I was like, hey, this stuff looks pretty good, man. Here's the rain jacket. So price point wise, I thought, because it's so lightweight, it's very lightweight. And then I'm like, I don't know if it's going to perform. And it did. So good stuff. I'm not going to give it like this blazing endorsement. I only had it for 10 days in Alaska, but it was pouring down rain. It was sleet. It was snow. We had to hike through brush that was over your head, soaked in nasty water and all that. And it shed it all, kept me dry. Didn't wet out. And, again, it's just like one trip, but I'm pretty happy with it. So, and if you use the code GRITTY over at Black Ovis, you're going to save. So here's the Duckworth hoodie I was telling you about, and this is the powder hoodie. I live in this thing. It was included in the pack weight. Some people, when they tell you what their pack weighs, they're not including their wear clothes. It doesn't seem like honest to me. This is something that I would often carry and not pack, so it's part of that 52-pound total pack weight. And in that pack weight, but also if you use the code GRITTY over there at Duckworth, you're going to save as well. Those guys are awesome. And I would check out the Wool Cloud too. I mean, I live in the Wool Cloud. When it gets a little bit cold, I exercise in it. I do 3 to 5 mile runs in the Wool Cloud. It's a really lightweight, comfortable, breathable top. Very versatile. So I love that wool cloud. And if you use the code GRIDDY at Duckworth, you'll get a discount over there. So if I had to choose, though, I think I'd go for the powder hoodie over the wool cloud. But it's sixes almost. So it would come down to personal preference. You'll have to compare the two. The powder hoodie's money, though. It's a tough one to beat. So let's get back into the pack here. This is the Leupold 40 power spotter. You go with some other, there are some spotters that are going to be even lighter than this that are out on the market. And so, you know, sometimes if you're looking at this pack weight, base weight being like 35 pounds, well, if you're a non-hunter, think about it. You'd get rid of the spotter, you get rid of the bino harness, get rid of the rangefinder, get rid of the tripod. Now you're getting into those 25 pounds, 26 pounds kind of loads as your base weight. But as hunters, you know, we bring these things along, but you can go with the lighter weight stuff. And that Tricer BCLP is so light. It's crazy. You go with a little 40-pound spotter, you know, it's about 2 pounds or so. And then I'm filming my hunt using the all-in digiscope right here and capturing wildlife and moments and things I want to see at long range with this setup. Use the code GRIDDY over at All In and you'll save. I freaking love this thing. All you have to do is put it on, boom, and it lines up. And you can even do it vertical like this, so you can record for social or whatever in this aspect ratio. So, man, it's tough to beat. This little portable spotter, 40 power is pretty good if you're not on some kind of crazy, like, once in a lifetime draw tag where the difference between, you know, 180 inch buck and a 200 inch buck matters to you, right? For most of my hunts, this is enough for me to assess whether an animal is worth going for or not. Because on a public land over the counter type hunt or an easy draw, I'm just looking for something mature, like most guys are. And I can tell from that. I can tell that from here, from a distance, and then I can get closer, put this up, and kind of reassess. And so it's just enough power to get the job done. But there's a few on the market out there that are similar in weight. Choose the brand you like. I actually feel like this Leupold is pretty darn nice, crystal clear. It's a nice little backpacking spotting scope. So that is the spotting scope situation. What do I got in here? These are the KUIU, these are the KUIU, my favorite gloves on the planet Earth. The KUIU, it's not the Glommet, it's their, I always forget. I talked about them on that wolf hunting podcast. They're the ones you want, that where the finger comes out right here out of the top of the index finger. And these are something like their, maybe it says right here. This is an XL, by the way. I always go for giant gloves. I don't want my gloves to be too small. KUIU ultralight hunting. I don't know. It's not their Glommet. Look for the one that has the finger, the index finger, deal where you can peekaboo this thing and then touch your screen or whatever. It's so nice. But this keeps my hand warmer than their heavy duty waterproof like Glommet glove. I pretty much take this on every single hunt, and they dry out really easy, dry out nice, all that kind of stuff. On a hunt like this, I did not bring the Graxaw boot dryers in this kit because I wasn't bringing a wood stove. So there's no wood stove in this setup either. So I'm going to get into that in just a minute. But a lot of the boots on the market out there that I'd be hiking in for these hunts, they're lightweight. Like this is a Laponia, doesn't weigh very much. This boot, neoprene tongue, synthetic leather, if it gets soaking wet, it can dry in the sun, or it can dry in my teepee. It can dry out fairly easily just by use. A full grain leather, not so much. I would bring, if I had a different boot that would have trouble drying out, then I'd bring the boot dryers. I'd have a hard time, ditching that. But gosh, when you get rid of a wood stove and you get rid of a large shelter, again, you're saving 3 or 4 pounds sometimes and if it's just you and not another guy to carry the stove, this kind of setup right now is 52 pounds with food, 35 base weight, anything. And that's with all my hunting rig. You added the rifle to it and that's the whole kit. It's kind of ideal. And it's just a luxury to have a stove when I don't necessarily need it. This hunt was in Alaska, June, July, August. It's wet, but it's not that cold. It can be cold for a day or two, but the next day it'll be windy and warm and your stuff dries out quickly, especially on those mountain ridges above timberline. So yeah, it was really, it's a tough call, but for when you're climbing that steep a country and going for sheep and you're on the top of these, I think I'd ditch the stove. I really do. Now, one thing I would consider if I was on some rugged, really out there crazy hunt in the middle of nowhere, and if it was cold and snowy and rainy, there's no way I'm leaving that stove. I would add the 1.5 pounds back into the kit, the little over 1.5 pounds. I would go with like a medium to a cub or something, a smaller stove that I'd put inside one man, or if I was sharing a Dyneema teepee with a buddy, I'd just roll with that. I just go with the teepee and stove, no question. Especially anything late season or snow. It's that little extra weight is just worth it. But we're talking this time of year, like I just did. Yeah, I don't really need it. August, even into late September. If I got to be lightweight run and gun, there's a case for the weight situation, getting rid of it. And that's what this setup entails. This is a Graxaw set of game bags. They're super lightweight, durable. Love Graxaw. Head over to Gritty. Head over there. Use the code Gritty over there, and check out his e-boiler. He has a new skull boiling setup that is phenomenal. I've talked about it before. Check that out. This is the Stealthy Hunter backcountry emergency kit with tourniquets and all the things you kind of need for devastating wounds and problems and stuff out there. They kind of took the guesswork out of it for you and they put it all into one kit. If you head over to Stealthy Hunter, check it out. The emergency kit is great. They kind of did all the guesswork for you. Okay, this right here is a Dyneema shelter. This is a Seek Outside Silex. This is the single man I was talking about. This thing weighs, there's no poles. You're just using your trekking poles. This is a 12-ounce shelter. Eric Lee had a Hyperlite. I forget which one he has, and it's 9 or 10 ounces. I was watching that thing. It didn't look very comfortable, but it kept him dry in some nasty stormy weather. So I would say, man, the teepee with the stove, you're talking a Dyneema setup. You're talking with a peak stove. You're somewhere in that, 5 pound to 6 pound range. And if you divide that by 2 people, that's 2.5 pounds or 2 pounds, depending on if you go with a stove smaller, shorter pipe. But gosh, again, I'm looking at ounces, saving as much as I can. This is 12 ounces. There's no stove. And it's only for one person. But in the end, I'm ditching 3 pounds or so, 1.5 to 2 pounds, 1.5 pounds. So again, we're talking lightweight. That's what's in the pack. That's what makes up the 35 pound base weight. And that Hyperlite shelter was pretty cool. Z-Packs and Hyperlite. They're making some pretty damn good, insane lightweight shelters. I have Z-Packs tarps, and Seek. They do too. But it's got to be Dyneema. You just cannot get the weights down. I don't see how you justify a non-Dyneema if you're trying to find that banger ultralight load. Okay, lastly, I have in here, this is something that is sort of a possibles pouch. Got a little bit of everything in here. I've got Leuco tape in here for helping with blisters or whatever. I got some some anti-inflammatories, ibuprofen type stuff, Imodium AD for diarrhea and stuff, Pepto. I got a set of Allen keys. One of the things that I think is vitally important is a sewing kit. You cannot go into the backcountry without a sewing kit. Get one of these. This is like Gear Aid. Just buy it at like REI or something. Gear Aid, it's money. Some patches, zip ties. This is also a Gear Aid, a patch kit, seal kit. In here I have my Thermarest patches and stuff for my air pad. There's just a few things in there, and then I got, of course, a little bit of rope for emergency. It's just, again, it's that possibles pouch. A little bit of this and that, but a sewing kit, patches, glues, rope, just kind of miscellaneous stuff that just Allen keys, all that stuff. It's in here along with like a Leatherman. I have my Leatherman on my bino harness, the little tiny, like, I forget what you call them, the little pliers and stuff like that. That's over there. Okay. And then I went with the Thermarest Neo Air. This sucker's way lighter than my X-Therm, and I just didn't need it this time of year. Saved me a bunch of ounces. So Neo Light Air is in this kit. And then I just have in here is simply my ground cloth that's Tyvek ground cloth to keep punctures and keep my air pad dry. And lastly, I have the Peaks Solace 15-degree sleeping bag. This thing I will never leave home without it. I mean, it's just legit. Eric and Anthony and I were like just like suited up in this, glassing in the mornings and the evenings when it got really windy and nasty. You can have a pretty lightweight set of puffies. You can have pretty lightweight whatever. All these other, like, I didn't bring tons of layers. I have my powder hoodie, KUIU pant, like a thin pair of pants with the vent zips. And then I just throw the puffies on. But that wasn't quite enough, man. When it was like 20 degrees and sleeting and cold, I just threw my sleeping bag on. It wears like a jacket. And you just put the head on, the arms in, you just like sit there and you glass. Keeps you out there so much longer looking for animals when you normally want to climb inside your tent. It's like that, one is none and two is one, or it just, this thing works so well. Rather than packing an entire sleeping bag up to the mountain, basically a puffy piece of equipment that then just lays in your tent and is only slept in, when it could be a versatile piece of gear that you wear like a coat, man, it's kind of a waste. And this is so convenient. Your arms pop out. It's got the zippers. It's got the toggle to hang the bag inside. It's lightweight. It's got a hood like a jacket. You suit up in that. And then Anthony, we would like bring our arms inside. So you're inside the sleeping bag with your arms inside the vents, and you just look out at the animals through your spotter and just your glass in, pull your arms back out, adjust things, put them back in, cozy up. And especially when we were just observing an animal for 5 or 10 minutes, it's like you're not moving the scope anymore. You're just looking, and it's just so nice. I can't describe how comfy it is. I love that thing. So that's the whole kit. That's kind of everything. And that I got a little knife here, pocket knife, So, I mean, basically, again, that's the whole kit. And it just left me thinking, like, where else could I save? Well, you could go with a lighter weight pack. There's a little bit of weight savings from an initial ascent to like a KUIU. But in my opinion, whatever weight savings you're getting with some of these hyper lightweight pack frames, you're losing in efficiency of carrying. When we threw the grizzly bears on our back and we were packing them in the middle of the night in the slow snow and the rain up a steep hill, or we had an 85-pound load that we carried for basically 9 to 10 miles, man, it is just glorious to have the initial ascent. It just carries better. It just feels good. And so that little bit of weight is offset, increase in pack weight is easily offset, in my opinion, by performance, by how well it carries. It feels like it's less weight, and it makes sense, because if it's hanging off your body in a super inefficient way, or it's not carrying across your hips and distributed well, you're going to burn more calories and use more energy. Who cares if it's lighter, if it's just like a gunny sack hanging off your shoulder and the load lifters aren't quite right and it's not efficient. You're going to feel it. It's just not worth it. So I'm a proponent, man. I love the initial ascent pack. Especially for the rugged, manly hunts that we're doing. You know, you get a pair of moose antlers, you got to lash them on there. It's just so doable. Anthony had to he packed his grizzly bear hideout on the back there. And I don't know, the pack just carries nice. I got my Peaks Trekkers. Those were not in the weight because basically, I'm not going to weigh these. They're in my hand. You know, it's not like the weight on my back, but they are what they are. They are also what holds up your lightweight shelter. Almost every single, from Hyperlight to everybody else, they're all using Trekkers for those setups. So again, if you're bringing them, you use them. And so you got the Peaks Elite trekking poles, and those are the poles on my shelter too. So I think that kind of, I don't know. I think that's everything. I need to put the list up and kind of go through it, but I don't think I'm forgetting anything. So like I said, it's a 35-pound load with all the optics and the bino harness and all that stuff. 17 pounds for 10 days of food. And the food situation was legitimate. It was great. It was carnivore for me, primarily animal-based. I thrived on it. And I'll go over that in the next podcast episode. There's some tweaks I'm going to make, but that crepes and berries, that it's a chili, it's a Philly cheesesteak sandwich recipe, basically, is how it turned out. Put a little Swiss in there. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was so good. The shabu shabu thing I made, it was great. So that's money. So like I said, 35 pounds. You're going to eat your way down to 35-pound load. You're going to hike in with 52 plus your weapon. So, you know, if you got a pistol, a few more pounds. If you got a rifle, 6 or 7 pounds. So you're in that 58 pounds, 59, eating your way down, like I said, each day. I'm actually pretty cool with that. There's not much in here I want to get rid of, boys, men, women. There's not much I want to get rid of. Maybe if my buddy was with me, he carries the tripod and I carry the spotter. We split that. That'd save me a couple more pounds. You don't necessarily always need to have 2 spotters, 2 tripods. So that's an option. I could get rid of the glassing pad, but it's so light. For the comfort to benefit, benefit to weight ratio. I just, again, I'm scratching at this point. Maybe I'm too soft, but I'm scratching to go lighter. You know, I don't feel like, I need to chase, a more streamlined load than this. It's pretty decent. You're talking 35-pound base weight with your spotter and tripod. And you're not sharing any of the, I guess you could share a stove. Anthony and I did that. So someone could carry the fuel and someone could carry the pot and stove. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here by myself, but, cause I thought about this. If I'm going to go on a sheep hunt and it's 10 days and I was to go up there and help guide, which I'm considering, that's a 52-pound load. And then my pistol, I think, is around 2 pounds or so, maybe a little more. And so, each day, though, I'd be kind of eating my way down to that 35 to 37-pound load. So when we did get a sheep and it came time to pack out, it would be 35 pounds plus whatever I carried on the sheep, 50 pounds of meat or, whatever I helped the hunter would do it. And you have your packer, your hunter, and your outfitter guide. I'm just kind of fooling around in my head with scenarios, but I hope that's helpful to you guys. I know that we often carry loads that are a little bit heavier and more luxurious, things that I did not include in this pack was I did not include the Chota Hippie waders. I didn't include microspikes. I didn't include the Petzl Ride pickaxe. I didn't include a Pocket Boy saw. There's a lot of things. I didn't include the Peaks stove or teepee. There's a lot of things that I opted out of this kind of setup to get that load down. And, all of those things being gone is totally doable, especially in a spring, fall, early fall. When the weather gets nastier and it gets colder and gets a little more dangerous and it gets a little more miserable and you're dealing with different conditions. And if I were to cross lots of streams, then I'd reconsider some of these pieces of equipment I left behind. The microspikes, I would reconsider given the situation or the terrain and the type of hunt. And that's what's tough, because when I went out here to Alaska, I was kind of expecting certain conditions and I didn't get them, and I got totally opposite ones. And I ended up with gear that I never needed. That never came out of my pack. It was just excessive. And so looking at weight being hyper weight conscious, especially if you're not a strong fit packer, then err on the side of less comfort and a lighter load. Absolutely. And that's where it's like, well, yeah, a lot of times I'd be wearing the microspikes, but sometimes they're not. Plus, you still have to lift that foot every time with those chains on. But there are times when there's a great excuse for that. There's a great where I'm like, I'm so glad I had these. I could have fallen 55,000 times and I break a hip, crossing some of these mossy creek bottoms without spikes or rocks, or in New Zealand, I would never hit those Southern Alps without those spikes. Never. But in August, where I was hunting grizzlies up in sheep country, I ditched those spikes. It wasn't wet enough. It wasn't slimy enough. It was dry enough. I'd ditch them. I would. I could get by without them. And, but it's going to be a judgment call on every hunt I do. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So I hope that's useful. If you want to see my latest film of Bears and Men, head on over to the Gritty Hideout. Check it out. Just go to staygritty.com. You'll find the Hideout button and consider joining us over there. Got some cool live streams each week on that, in that community. Ask questions, get in touch with us directly, and see other exclusive pieces of content we'll be putting up there. And yeah, thanks for supporting the show, and we'll catch you on the next podcast. Stay gritty.